Hi, my name is Sigelela Sovas, and I want to welcome you to my channel. So if you are new to the channel, just make sure you subscribe. Even if you are returning, if you haven't subscribed, just make sure to subscribe so that we can grow the channel, as I will be sharing more video content now than I was doing previously on maybe you've been following me on Facebook or other platforms, but now I'll make sure that this is the platform I prioritize, because this one is uncensored. I can share as much as I can, as compared to other platforms. So just make sure that you are part of this growing channel, and I'll be making sure that to provide you with more value about the healing and nutrition and everything that's relating to basically your longevity. This is because this is what it's all about. It's about taking care of yourself so that you can live life to the fullest. So for this topic, or for this video, we're going to be discussing human digestion or human digestive system. We've done some other videos before, but I felt like I need to do this specific video just to summarize how the human digestion works, because it summarizes everything else in terms of understanding the disease or the nutrition or the nourishment of human body. So this is what we want to be speaking about today. So many people say digestion starts from the mouth, but I say human digestion starts actually from your brain, because what happens is when the digestion basically is the breaking down of food and nourishment of your body from the mouth to up until it gets out of your body. But what happens is when you see a delicious food, when you see it, this is a sensory with your eyes. Now you see with your eyes, or you smell it. Maybe I'm sitting here and I'm smelling from my kitchen that something is smelling nice. Already my brain is sending signal to my salivary glands, to release the juices. That's why we normally call the food is mouth watering. We have not tasted that food, we have not touched that food, maybe we've seen it that okay, it looks delicious, or it smells delicious. Already your mouth is preparing, so digestion has already started. So that's why I'm saying digestion actually starts from the sensory organs, either your smell or your eyes, which is all being signaled by the brain. So it starts from your brain. So it starts from your brain, and then just even before your food is in front of you. So then it happens that your food now is in front of you. You can start to eat it, and then this is the process we want to see now. What happens from that food, how you get the nutrients from that food, how you release the waste, and everything else that goes from there. So what I will do, I will draw a little sketch. It's gonna not be so nice because I'm not a good in drawing, but at least it's gonna help to demonstrate the organs that I'm gonna be speaking about. It's just gonna be a breakdown. I'm not gonna go into deeper details about each organ, what it does and everything. Later on, when we discuss a specific disease or specific organ related disease, then we'll go into that level of detail. This video is just to make sure that we can summarize, you can understand the bigger picture. Okay, so now this, as I say, starts from the brain, and then the food comes into your plate. And just bear with me, I want to now just draw a little picture of the mouth now, because once it's in front of you, you're gonna start eating the food, then it's gonna go in the mouth. Then the first official step starts now of the digestion. So I'm just gonna draw. Just bear with my bad drawings, but I hope they will share the picture. Okay. Such a big head. Okay. This is now in the mouth. Just check, these are the teeth. Like I said, just bear with my bad drawings, but you will get the point. So now you eat the food, it comes into your mouth, then the first step starts. You chew the food, This is the mechanical breakdown of the food now. The food comes in solid. I'm assuming now, not smoothies or juices, like solid foods. I'm assuming solid foods. So it gets into your mouth, then you start to crush it. You crush it. The main purpose for this is to make sure that you break it down into smaller pieces. The taste is encouraged, that you don't just Tosupanga. You know, you don't just you put food in your mouth and crush one, two, and swallow, you know, because you're bypassing this important step. You have to chew food. And also, whilst you're chewing the food, in the back of your tongue, there's two glands. I want to draw the tongue in this picture, but let's say this is the tongue. But at the back of your tongue, there's going to be two glands. My pen is... Okay. There's going to be two glands, the salivary glands. So as you chew the food, these salivary glands will be releasing the saliva. The saliva that's going to be mixing with this food in your mouth. And then saliva is basically actually 99% water. Just 99% water and 1% enzyme. It's the enzyme called the amylase, which is mainly responsible for breaking down the carbohydrates, and the lysozyme, which is just making sure that you can control the level of bacteria in your mouth. You're still going to have bacteria, no matter what level of toothpaste or mouthwash you use, you're still going to have bacteria, but at least it must be controlled into a right level. So the amylase will break down the carbohydrates if you're eating the hybrid food now, because alkaline food will not have carbohydrates, will have minerals. Because, just to explain this a little bit, a hybrid plant, right, will receive the sunlight, receive the sunlight from the sun, and it will convert this sunlight through the process of photosynthesis into carbohydrates, you know. And then an alkaline plant, on the other hand, will also receive sunlight, and it will convert this sunlight, this sun energy, or this sun's energy into electricity. This process is called photovoltaic. So it's photosynthesis for the one that will have an end result of carbohydrates, and for the alkaline plant is going to be photovoltaic. If you understand the concept of solar panels, this is the same thing that works. Converts the sun's energy into electricity. This is what an alkaline plant does. So this amylase that is from the saliva will convert that this enzyme will convert this photovoltaic food source, these minerals into basically breaking down. If you're eating the non-alkaline food, hybrid food, or starchy food that has carbohydrates, it's going to be breaking down the carbohydrates. So that is the reason for this enzyme. So that is why it's important to make sure that the food gets into your mouth for a reasonable period of time. So after these glands are done with your, I'm going to use a different pen. This one seems to be leaving me. So these are your salivary glands. So this now will be okay. There's going to be an opening here. So the food now will be into ball structures, you know. It's called actually bolus because it's like a ball, into called bolus, and then you're gonna start to swallow the food, you know. Gonna pass through this called the pharynx. This part is also part of the digestive system, the pharynx, and then they're gonna have this little tip kind of a thing. If you open your mouth and be like, yeah, and you look there in the mirror, you're gonna see it's like it's dancing there. It's called the epiglottis. In my language, they call it ingaka if you speak Xhosa. So it's the epiglottis. The reason for this is to make sure that, because there's an opening that's behind this, behind your tongue, that is there's a passage to your lungs now, to your trachea, you know. So it's to make sure that it's like a valve, this epiglottis, to make sure that you can close when you're swallowing, you can close this little opening here, so that the food doesn't go to your trachea, otherwise it will choke. So let's make sure that the food goes down to our next part I'm going to be discussing now, which is the esophagus. You chow the food, you swallow the bolus. Called the bolus. Once it goes down here, it goes down to your esophagus. And then the esophagus is actually a 25 centimeter around the tube structure. It's like a strong muscle with a couple of layers. Like I said, I'm not going to go into detail of the structure of everything. Just want to mention the function and what it's going to be doing for the digestion. So it goes to the esophagus. The esophagus actually is functioning just to make sure that the food or the bolus can be pushed down. There's a process of mechanical pushing down called the peristalsis. It pushes down to the next organ, which is the stomach. So it pushes down this one. So this peristalsis, even if you were to stand upside down, it still and you eat something, it will still move up. In this case, if you're facing upside down, basically it's going to make sure that the food goes to the stomach. The mechanical process, it's the same process that happens for the ladies in their fallopian tubes during ovulation when they're taking the ovary to the womb. It's the same process. It pushes through a muscular process to the stomach. This is the stomach. So the stomach is just like a pouchy muscle, very hard muscle, and also it's also responsible for digestion, for mechanical digestion and for chemical digestion. So what happens in the stomach? Because it's like a pouch muscle and a strong muscle, it's gonna contract to cause the food that is inside here, or the bolus or that is here, to be digested further. There's a valve here that is going to make sure that the food doesn't go up, must only go down. So as soon as the bolus comes in, then this valve must close so that doesn't go up. That when it goes up, sometimes we have something called acid reflex. Now the acid, because there's acid in here, that goes up, and then you're gonna feel it here and taste it here. It's bitter and stuff like this. So that means this valve is not so strong enough. So food comes into here now, into the further part of the digestion. First of all, there's gonna be gastric juice here in the stomach. There's a gastric juice, and this gastric juice is basically hydrochloric acid. It's a very strong acid, hydrochloric acid and the pepsinogen. And then, because there's a high level of acidity in here, the walls of the stomach, I wish this can be okay now. Okay. The walls of the stomach are cushioned. They secrete mucus. There's a mucus membrane. They secrete mucus to make sure that it can lubricate and cushion the linings of the stomach from this hydrochloric acid. Otherwise, it will burn the stomach. So that's what the stomach does. So this gastric juice further chemically breaks down the food that's in here. And then after the food has been here for some time, for about 4 hours sometimes, depending on what you've ate actually, then it's gonna go out, gonna be pushed out now into the smaller intestines. So like I said, I wish that just for demonstration purposes. Otherwise, the smaller intestines will not normally look like this. Okay, let's just make it look like that. It's gonna go into the smaller intestines now. But remember, this now is very acidic. As you know, you might have heard if you've been following me for a while, or been following the kind of healing method, African biomineral balance. We are against acidity. We are promoting alkalinity. So if the food here that is coming here now is acidic, it's gonna burn again the small intestines. So what happens is there's another organs that are here. There's one that is below here, below the stomach, is the pancreas. And then there's one of your biggest biggest organs inside your body is the liver. It's important. They call it the liver. They call it the liver, this one, because you cannot live without it. When I go into organ-specific diseases and everything, I want to touch a lot of base on this one because it's very, very important about the liver. And then just on the base of the liver, we have the gallbladder. It's G for the gallbladder. And then it's also, both they are attached also from the gallbladder. They are attached to the small intestines. Also the pancreas is attached to the small intestines. So what happens here, as the stomach releases this highly acidic food, it's called the chyme now when it comes in here. It comes in, it's called bolus. When it goes into the intestine, it's called the chyme. So what happens, the pancreas is an endocrine and exocrine gland, which simply means that it releases the hormone into the ducts, firstly, the pancreatic duct, into the small intestines, and also releases the hormone insulin directly into the bloodstream. So that's why it's called both endocrine and exocrine. Then at the same time, the liver releases the bile. The function of the liver is to produce the bile, first of all, is to filter or remove toxins or waste products from the body. So that's why I want to speak a lot about the liver. Just make sure you subscribe and follow up the coming videos. And also, just make sure also to break down the drugs, the foreign materials that we put in our bodies, the inorganic food that we put in our bodies. That's why we say sometimes you must detox and stuff, so that you can give a break to the liver. Because all this foreign stuff we're eating, we're stressing this guy, you know. So he produces the bile in this case, which is very alkaline. Produces the bile and it gets stored in the gallbladder. This is just for storage, a pouch for storage. So when the chyme comes in here, that is acidic, then the bile must come in at the same time, so that it can neutralize the incoming chyme. Also, the insulin must come in. This now helps with the digestion or the breaking down of the food into glucose, because the body will not understand or does not understand food in terms of solids or liquids. Understand food in terms of glucose. The glucose is the oxygen, or is the fuel for the cells. The food you eat must eventually go and nourish the cells, and they must go there as glucose. So that's when the insulin comes in. So that's why now when your body, they say it's not producing enough insulin, there's imbalance of sugar levels, and then you are diabetic, because your cells now are not receiving the energy they're supposed to get. You get weak and start to shake and everything. But again, I will speak about this when I talk about diabetes. Again, just make sure you follow up. So now, after this has been now neutralized and again with the insulin in there, then it comes into the small intestines. This is the next step of the digestion. The small intestines. The small intestines, they have three parts. I didn't draw it nice now, but they have the three parts. The first part is the duodenum, and then the middle part is the jejunum, and then the end part, that's just before it enters the large intestines, which is the colon. It's called the ileum. This is the large colon. Just forget about my drawings, they're not so nice. But this will be now the colon. But I'll speak about the colon later. So these small intestines, the function is going to make sure that they are absorbing the nutrients from this chyme. You know, this must absorb the nutrients from this chyme, digest it and absorb it. So the structure is like this. Okay, seems to be working. I want to use a different color. The structure of the intestines, of the small intestines, like this. It's got this. I hope you can see it nice. Small. They're called villi, or villi in plural. So just to take a cross section of this one, maybe one, is basically something like this. Something like this. So the food or this chyme is now exposed to this area. So what happens is inside this villi, there's gonna be a blood vessel or the blood capillary that comes in like this. So they come in and it's attached to this. So it's able now to absorb all this mixture of bile, insulin, and chyme, and make sure that it can extract these nutrients it wants to extract into the bloodstream. Because remember now, it's the blood that must transport the nutrients to the various organs and collect the waste and bring it back to the colon. So also what it does have is called the lymphatic lacteal. The lymphatic lacteal, basically, lymphatic system is basically like our drainage system. So if there's something that is foreign that needs to be taken out and be drained out, then the lymphatic system must have a network attached in there to be able to perform that function. So that's what happens inside these small intestines. And then further, when it's finished with absorption of food, and then now there's less nutrients left when it comes to this level, when it's passing it through the large intestines, it's finished with absorbing the nutrition. from this food. It's gonna take it to the actually this attachment is a bit around here, around the appendix. But don't worry about the structure of the drawing. Just listen to the concept. It's gonna take it to the large intestines now, or this is the colon. Now, you've been hearing a lot about the colon. So what the colon does is to make sure that it absorbs some remaining nutrients. There might be some remaining nutrients that the small intestines didn't extract, so the colon will just make sure that it extracts that one too. But most importantly, the function of the colon is to absorb water from this, because this will not absorb a lot of water. So the water will come in here, it's going to come in very watery. So the colon must absorb the water from this food or remaining food plus waste. Otherwise, if it happens that the colon absorbs too little, because it comes in very watery when it comes in here. If the colon absorbs too little water, and then it's going to make sure that by the time the feces goes out is too watery, and then that's going to be called diarrhea. It's going to be a runny stomach, and then that's going to rob you the water of your system. It's going to cause you to be dehydrated. At the same time, if this colon absorbs too much water, resulting into your stool being hard, then it's going to result into you being constipated, because now your stool is hard. It's very difficult for it to move out. So it has to maintain the right balance, in terms of absorption. And again, has to do with your consumption of right food, food with fiber, so that there's enough fiber in your food to release the stool. And then after the colon has done that function, it goes to the last part. It's called this is the ascending colon, and this is the transverse colon, and this is the descending colon. This is the sigmoid colon, and then this last part, which is responsible basically for storing the stool just before it gets exit, is the rectum. It's the rectum. So the rectum the stool will stay there until the brain starts to send a signal for it to start to swell. This is now for the time you feel like you need to go to the loo. You feel like you need to go to the loo, and then the rectum starts to swell. And then after that happens, now you must release the waste now, the feces or the stool, to the outside through the anus. So this is the process. This is how the human machines is supposed to work. This is how it takes the nutrients from the food you eat and release what is not needed. So from the mouth to the anus. So this is, as I mentioned, this is according to the gene food consistency. If you are consistent to the food that is consistent to your body's needs, this will go out smoothly. But if you somehow violate over a long period of time, because your body is very patient with you and is doing its best to help you to stay healthy. But if you violate it, sometimes it says, I give up now. I've been trying to help you, now I give up because you don't help me to help you. So there's going to be some distraction happening in there. So one of the organs will start to suffer. So what I'm going to be discussing in the next coming video is what happens when maybe the liver suffers, or the stomach suffers, or the pancreas suffers, gets clogged, or the colon starts to get clogged. Because what happens is sometimes from the bile that comes from the liver, sometimes people say the disease starts from the colon, but what happens is the liver is produces the bile. The bile got substance called the bilirubin. And this is the brownish substance. That's why your feces will always be brownish, no matter what you eat. It's always going to have that brown color. It's because it's coming from the liver. And the main aim of that bilirubin is to lubricate your colon. Is to lubricate your colon, so to make sure that the food that doesn't stick to the walls of your colon. You see, so if your liver suffers, your colon will suffer too. So for me, I'm not against anyone who says disease starts from the colon, but to my interpretation, if your liver is not okay, then your colon is not going to be okay. So the disease starts from the liver, you know. In fact, it doesn't even start from liver, it starts from the choices you make, you know. So that's why I'm saying now I want to later on go into much details about what happens when you don't do, or when you do certain stuff, you know. So it's about this. And then when you suffer some of the disorders that are related to human digestion, it can be either ulcers, stomach ulcer, or liver disease, hepatitis C, can be colon cancer, diverticular colitis, polyps, constipation, you know. It's a lot. It's a lot. It can be either hemorrhoids because of the dry stool. So there's other disease that can be affected with, that can be related maybe to environmental pollution. Maybe you are exposed to harmful chemicals, you smell them, and then they go into your system, they cause cancer. They can be, others can be contagious, they can be sexually transmitted and everything. There's others, but like I said, most of the disease that you're gonna be, or most people are suffering with, like for instance high blood pressure and diabetes and all those common ones, they all result into the violation of this. So we're gonna be tackling one by one. So just make sure you subscribe, guys. In the next video I will decide maybe to do I want to discuss the liver into more details, because this is where the magic happens. Like I said, it's the liver, because without it you will not live, you know. Even sometimes the liver is so mysterious. Sometimes you can cut a piece or part of it, it will grow back, you know. It's made of smaller muscles called the lobules, but I will go into more details into later video. I just wanted to summarize this for this specific video. So just make sure you subscribe, guys, and I hope you find value in this video. I will see you in the next video. Thank you.